Welcome to Seth's Daily Podcast and a Talk Junkie crossover podcast. And this is Seth from Seth's Daily Podcast. How are you doing, Talk Junkie? Justin.
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Doing good tonight, sir.
Definitely. And for anybody hears this on Talk Junkie, we're doing a simulcast. We're podcasting both podcasts together at one time.
Definitely appreciate you doing this, man. This will also be on the radio station tonight as well, the online radio station.
That's awesome. Now tell everybody, because, let's promote that radio station you're doing and tell everybody what it is, where they can find it, and what you're doing with it.
It's all about Eastern Kentucky podcasts on there for sure, man. I mean, focusing on the talent here in Eastern Kentucky, and Talk Junkie will actually be on there, and definitely look forward to having you on there, man. Definitely appreciate you being on there.
I'm excited about it. Like, it's cool. I've never been on a radio station of any type. I like the ideal of internet radio because it's global. And, I really appreciate you letting me do that, because that's a big opportunity for me. It's a big opportunity for a lot of local podcasts because, it's people that probably wouldn't normally hear our podcasts.
I mean, yeah, there's some people that only listen to online radio, and you can actually download the app on Apple, or if you have an Android, you can download it on a Google Play as well. And it's called Zeno Radio, and you can listen to. We actually have a website, and the website is Zeno it's okay. I finally found it. My bad. It is Zeno.fm/Seth's Daily Podcast.
Okay. So if you get it on the app, you pull up the app, just look for Seth's Daily Podcast, and it'll pop up the channel.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, man. Just type it in on the search on a radio app. They have a lot of radio stations, and actually playing right now is a great podcast called The Mountain Mysteries. We definitely so far we have The Mountain Mysteries, who is a great podcast. Cheers You Bubblegum, which is one of the best podcasts out there, and so is The Mountain Mysteries. The Spooky Family's on there. And then my podcast is on there, and Talk Junkie obviously will be on there. And the Paranormal Trucker just got confirmed that he's going to be on there, and possibility probably Down the Holler will be on there as well. So you got 7 great podcasts from here in Eastern Kentucky.
That is awesome. And it's awesome that they're all together, because you're going to find people that kind of like, especially a lot of people move out of the mountains. And I know it's easy to download podcasts, but, also, there's days when you don't want to sit and go through and go, all right, I want to listen to this episode, or I'm looking for that episode. If you can put on a radio station, you were born and raised in Eastern Kentucky and you're living in Dallas, or like my daughter lives in Texas now, you can put on that radio station and hear people from back home, and a lot of them. And all those shows are really different. And that's kind of what I like about it. It's different little segments from one area, and so you don't have to be from Eastern Kentucky to listen to it, but I think that'd feel kind of like going home to a lot of people that don't live here anymore.
Yeah, I mean, all these are Eastern Kentucky people. All these people are from here in Eastern Kentucky. It ain't like we got somebody from Lexington or anything putting on a show on the station. All these people live in Eastern Kentucky right now, so I mean, that makes it a lot different. And honestly, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, I know a lot of people may say differently, but Eastern Kentucky has the best podcast.
Oh, I mean, there's some phenomenal podcasts here.
Dead
now,
Pit.
I noticed deadpit.com, they do a great podcast. That's something that's very new to me. I just really kind of heard about that one and heard about it through Here's You Bubblegum.
Yeah, I've not had a chance to listen, but I know they're legends, and I definitely got a lot of respect for them, what they've done. I mean, they was out. I just listened to your and Here's Your Bubblegum show. They had you on a special guest host, and you guys was talking about Dead Pit, and Dead Pit came out before Rogan. Man, that's crazy, man. They're legends.
That's old school.
Yeah, they definitely put on for Eastern Kentucky, man. You gotta give shout outs to the legends, man. They're definitely the OGs of podcasting here in Eastern Kentucky.
Now, I noticed this morning you did like a morning show deal. So are you adding that? Is that going to be your Seth's Daily Podcast? Is it going to be that morning show, or is it something separate you're doing?
It's going to be on YouTube. after it's on the radio, and it'll be on the radio a lot, man. I don't know if I can do a 7-day a week morning show,
Yeah,
but
that's a lot.
yeah,
A
there
lot.
might be other shows come on during the morning as well, like 5 a.m., 6 a.m. Actually, on accident, I left the show running all night last night until 5 a.m.
Well, like I said, though, for somebody that was new to that podcast, like that's a good way to get that podcast out to them because, there's a lot wider window there. It's overnight, and gives people an opportunity to hear it. And it'll surprise you. I don't know if you've ever heard of a company called Ustream.
Yeah.
Ustream is an old video streaming company. I'm bad with years, probably somewhere around 2005, 2006, my buddy Tyler Ramey and I had a show on Ustream called Pirate Radio. And we ran it on Ustream and we ran it on an old thing called MySpace. We embedded it into MySpace and we had an account. And every Saturday night from like 11 to 2, we did a show, all local music, stuff like that. And we had fun. We got kicked off a lot. But, we had a listener in China. Apparently, when we were on, that was their lunch during the day, and they were in Hong Kong. And they listened every single day. They sent messages, and stuff. They sent emails. So it was really cool. And that was my first experience with anything like a podcast. And we didn't call it a podcast. That's why we called it Pirate Radio, because the only thing I'd ever heard in 2005 was radio. There could be a podcast. It was set up a lot more like a podcast. It was just two guys goofing off, but we did play music and it was pirate for sure. I mean, we played music we didn't have the right to play more than likely, but we never got kicked off. Excuse me. We never got kicked off of MySpace at all. It had an embedded player. It played all the time, but every couple episodes, they would kick us off of Ustream, and we had some issues there, and we got our hands slapped a lot. But that was a global deal, and I was a really big fan of that. And we actually tried to start a kind of like a TV deal because it was all video as well. You could do video and audio, and we tried to start kind of like a TV like channel. And if we'd had internet radio back then, or we'd had podcasts, we would have done it in a heartbeat. So, I'm super excited about what you're doing because it's something that I'd always wanted to do. And, it's internet radio, but it's with a podcast format. And I really like that.
Yeah. You'll not hear one song on the podcast. Well, you might hear, I might have lied. You might hear, one of the absolute great talents here in Eastern Kentucky from Knott County, just like us. Tony Sloan. He's sorry, I didn't mean to put your location out there, Justin.
Oh, I don't care at all. I talk about all the time where I'm from. I mean, me and Goose are now we're doing Believe It or Not. We got the name of the county in it, so I'm good with that.
Oh yeah, man, my bad. But Tony Sloan's from the same county as us, and you might hear a song from him on there. But that's because I'm actually me and him have a kind of deal. I'm kind of managing him, so I mean, I have the rights to his music. So definitely, you could hear his music on there.
Well, I think that's a good thing, though. I mean, like that is, it kind of goes with the other shows that are on there. And it's kind of a representation of this area. I think that'd be a cool thing for you to do with that station is maybe if you got music from local acts and just put on every once in a while, there's nothing wrong with music in between shows or something like that. That wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, just so people know, this station ain't just like 1 hour, 2 hours a day. It's 24/7. You're going to hear something on there every hour of the day and 7 days a week. So, I mean, free content. You get great free content too, man. I mean, you get to listen to great stuff. You can just sit there while you're driving and listen to it. You can sit there and, just like you said, eat lunch and listen to it as well. Or, heck, grab a coffee, drink some coffee, and listen to some morning shows, afternoon shows, everything, man.
I like that. I like that setup because it's not just, because sometimes I'll put on a podcast and I'll listen to 4 or 5 episodes of it in a row, and it's just because I don't want to look and change and go through that. With the radio station set up, somebody's picking it for you, and I don't know. It's just like watching TV or just like listening to the radio. It's more organic. You just kind of go with the flow of what's on, and you'll probably end up finding stuff that you wouldn't have looked for because you didn't know to look for it.
Absolutely. And it is actually an auto DJ that sets up. You can set up the playlist on there, and auto DJ randomly plays the shows. But I can make it play a certain thing at a certain time and stuff like that. So that's what I like about it.
That's a good setup. That gives you the ability, if you've got something new coming out, advertise it, get it out there, and let people know, hey, this is what time it's coming. I think you're onto something good there. I really think it's gonna be a big deal for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's already helped me get a subscriber on YouTube. We got a couple listeners from the United States, but even more exciting, we got a listener from Canada. And if that guy's listening, man, we definitely appreciate you listening.
Yes, definitely. All good things come from Canada. John Candy, Jim Carrey, bacon, maple syrup.
Chris Jericho.
Great country. Chris Jericho, a lot of great wrestlers. The Hart Foundation. I mean, Bret Hart. You can't beat Canada. I'm a Canada guy. I like Canada.
Cage. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Yes, Christian. I know him very well. I remember when he first started out in the WWF in the Brood. It was Christian and Edge. They grew up together. Yes, Edge is from Canada.
I mean, man, it just seems like Canada puts out the most professional wrestling talent in the world, in my opinion.
They do, and if you look into it, tons of wrestlers are from Canada. Tons and tons of comedians are from Canada. It'll blow your mind. Like, I've always found that weird. They have a different sense of humor up there, and I like it. A show you're way too young for, but a show, actually, I guess technically I may be almost too young. I just seen it in reruns growing up, was a show called Second City TV or SCTV. It was kind of like the Chicago / Canadian version of Saturday Night Live, and I loved it. And they had a lot of great Canadian comics. That's the first place I ever seen John Candy. It's I'm going to turn this into a retro podcast if I'm not careful. But Canada's great, so I'm happy to see that you got a Canadian listener.
Yeah, man, definitely exciting. I mean, you're right though, man. Canada's put out a lot of talent. Even Justin Bieber. I know a lot of people don't like his music, but that guy's very talented.
He's made a lot of money, and you don't make a lot of money out of luck.
No, they also got Drake. I forgot about him. Drake.
Yes.
Canada has a lot of talent, man. I mean, Eastern Kentucky has a lot of talent as well. I mean, we got a lot of country singers from here: Chris Stapleton, Tyler Childers, Sturgill Simpson. You got Halfway to Hazard, actually one of their singers from here in Knott County.
Shane Hamilton's daughter. I don't know what last name she goes by music-wise, and that's sad. I remember her. I used to train up there at Master Shane's gym when she was little bitty, and she is blowing up in Nashville right now. She is doing phenomenal. And then Tyra Madison, from right there, the same area you and I are born in, she is doing amazing things. My daughter has seen her play some big shows, and my daughter, actually, I think my daughter got to be in her last music video. Like, she's doing some big stuff. And then plus, you and I are both from the same area where Rebecca Gayheart was born and raised, and it's Halloween. You think Jawbreakers and Urban Legends. She was in both of those, so there's a lot of Eastern Kentucky people out there representing as well.
Tony Sloan as well. He's doing some big things. 9,000 views on a song on YouTube, which is very hard to do.
Oh, and a guy that I really think is going to do big things musically, Brando Van Joit. He's from right here in Knott County, and he's not living here any longer, but his last music video blew me away. If you've not checked that out, you need to check that out. It's unreal.
Eric Holmes as well, the rapper.
Yes. Well, they did a music video together. Brando was in Eric's video, the one with the boxing ring.
Fire?
Yep. Brando was in that video with him, and I know Eric was on one of Brando's songs, but I think they made a video for that as well.
Yeah. Eric is one of the best talents out there, man. He's a great guy too. Eric is.
He
I've had him on
charted,
my podcast.
didn't he? He charted on iTunes, something like that.
Yeah, definitely he did, man. Both albums that he's put out has been on the iTunes charts. That guy is really talented. And, man, you won't find a more humble guy than Eric Holmes.
That's doing something from this area too, especially as he did the music video up in Hazard there at the parking lot structure, and that was a really good video he done. That was one of the first ones I ever seen when I first heard about him. He seems like a super nice guy.
He is, man. He's really one of the most humblest people. You would think that he wouldn't be humble, but man, he's really humble and really nice and down to earth. I mean, he'll talk to anybody, man.
So what's the next show? I mean, is there anything you can let anybody in on, like any guests maybe you got coming up, or is that still hush hush? You know, what do you got planned now that you got this station going? You got to come up with a better guest than me. Who are you? Have you got your eye on anybody, or have you got something big planned you can't talk about yet?
Chris Sloan will be on Tuesday from Mountain Mysteries podcast. It's always fun to talk to him. It's always fun to talk to you as well, man. I think you're downplaying yourself. You're one of the best podcasters out there.
I'm mediocre at best, but I surround myself with good people. You know, I get to hang out and do stuff with you and Goose and Paranormal Trucker and Spooky Family. I lucked out and got involved in their it's kind of like a March Madness for movie monsters and cryptids.
Oh, yeah.
And I've got involved in that and been lucky to do that with them. And that has been a blast. And they actually did the first episode of my new show Saturday night going into Sunday morning because we had huge scheduling conflicts. I just cannot get time to podcast. That's my biggest. And I turn around and start another show from scratch when I can't do that. But had them on, that was great. And then got to talk to Eli from the radio station today and then do this with you. Like today's been a good podcast day. You know, last night coming into today has been fun, but I don't get many of those days. How you do a daily podcast, I'll never know because I struggle to get 2 or 3 a month out for one show. And now like an idiot, I'm going to try to do it for 2.
What's the name of your show, by the way?
The new show is Retro Cult. It's up on iTunes. It's up on Spotify. The YouTube page is not up and going yet. It is up on Facebook, but it's hard to find. I'm going to have to work on that Facebook algorithm. I didn't find any other shows called Retro Cult, but for some reason, other stuff's starting to pop up now. But check it out. I even shared actually the very first episode of Retro Cult. I put it on both podcasts. It is on Talk Junkie and it's on Retro Cult. That way maybe I can get some people over to it. But it's a podcast about stuff I really love. Old movies, old TV, old toys, old wrestling, old music, anything and everything. And you know, it's Halloween, so we did the first of hopefully 2 episodes last night. There are 2 guys who actually used to do 2 podcasts in Eastern Kentucky. They don't do them any longer. It's probably been a year or so since any one of them done an episode, and that was Raven Television Addict and Randomness Captured Live. And those 2 podcasts, the guys that done those 2 podcasts were supposed to come on and done that first episode with me, and just scheduling conflicts, and one of them's ill. We couldn't make it happen, so Spooky Family stepped in at the last minute. They know a lot about spooky stuff. I mean, it's in their name, and helped me out. And we had an amazing episode, but I'm hoping there'll be a part 2 to that with those other 2 gentlemen if everything works out.
Absolutely, man. That's great that you're having local shows on your show. That's one of the most things I want to do is promote the local podcast, and your show will actually be on the radio station too.
Yeah. I've tried to get these guys to get back into podcasting. Now, listen, they're not safe for work. They are wild podcasts. They're out there. But, like, they were good podcasts. I'd done those as a guest, at least Raven Television Addict, a couple times, and had a really good time doing it. Like, you never knew what you were going to talk about. A lot of movies. Actually, they talked about a lot of things I'm doing on Retro Cult. And if you go listen to the very first episode of Talk Junkie ever, no matter what platform you're on, it pops up as the first episode. The episode's called The Other Four Horsemen. It's pretty well what Talk Junkie started out to be. And it just didn't go that way. It ended up being just me instead of the other three guys, and one of them ended up passing away. So we didn't really get to do it, but I look forward to doing Retro Cult.
Absolutely, man. It's going to be awesome. And actually, Talk Junkie will be on the station as well.
Yeah.
Definitely look forward to that, man. This is going to be on the station tonight. I might do the late night spot for this show. It'll be on YouTube as well.
Cool. It'll be my first time on this show, so I'm excited about that. And it'll probably, what I'll do is go listen on the radio station, go listen on YouTube, and I'll give it a couple days, and then I'll put it up on Talk Junkie. But if you're, in all honesty, if you're listening to this on Talk Junkie and you didn't find this beforehand, go check out this radio station and go check out Seth's YouTube page, because Seth's YouTube page is huge in comparison to anybody else's I know. You get a lot of downloads and you get a lot of really good guests on.
Yeah, speaking of good guests, I definitely appreciate that compliment, man.
Well, it's true. I mean, you really do. I mean, that is your area, is YouTube. I struggle on YouTube. I struggle in a lot of places, but I struggle on YouTube. You do not. You do excellent on YouTube.
And speaking of big guests, Joe Taddo will be on soon. Don't know the exact date yet. And we're in talks with having Mike Goldberg on for the second time from the UFC. He was the voice of the UFC for about 20 years. He was on Joe Rogan.
That was a good episode.
He actually talked about Joe Rogan on the show.
Yeah. I'm a big Rogan fan. I'm not going to lie. I listen to a lot of Rogan.
Me too, man. A lot of Joey Diaz. Him and Rogan are actually best friends of Mike Goldberg. So, I mean, this will probably be the closest that I could get to Joe Rogan, but Mike Goldberg is up there with Joe Rogan, in my opinion. Him and Joe Rogan actually was my role models growing up in podcasting world. Mike Goldberg doesn't have a podcast, but I mean, that guy's voice is insane. That guy,
oh yeah,
can make anything sound interesting. That guy's just a legend in the combat sports department, and he's just a legend in commentary, man. And the fact that he's even been on my podcast and he's going to be on again, it's an absolute honor, man. And that guy's a big inspiration. And him and Joe Rogan are pretty much there's a Mount Rushmore of like announcers and stuff. They're on there.
Oh, no doubt. So, I know we both listen to the local stuff. What do you listen to outside of that local stuff? Because I'm a Rogan guy. There's a show called Tell 'em Steve Dave. It's the guys from Comic Book Men and one of the guys from Impractical Joker. It really had a lot to do with Kevin Smith, the director, starting out, and that's kind of what got me on it. But I really love the guys that's on that. Actually, I listened to it, and I don't listen to Kevin Smith's every week. I listen to a podcast called Time Suck with Dan Cummins, listen to a podcast called Scared to Death with Dan Cummins, and then I listen to just about every week. I usually listen to a podcast called Buzz in the Tower. That's all 80s movies and love it. So do you listen to any podcasts outside of those local podcasts?
Absolutely, man. Just like anybody, I listen to Joe Rogan. He's the GOAT. He's the best. He's the best podcaster in the world. Numbers don't lie. He just signed $100 $1 million. It's hard people don't realize how hard it is to talk on here if you talk so much. He signed a $100 million deal with Spotify. It's
hard to imagine $100 million too. That makes it hard. Makes it hard to say, because that's a hard number to imagine. Nobody's offering me $100.
And another one, Joey Diaz, his show, The Joint, on Spotify.
I love Coco. Yeah.
I've talked to him. He's a heck of a guy. I actually try to get him on podcast, but he doesn't do podcasts right now with people that he doesn't know because he uses Zoom and stuff. He likes doing live interviews and stuff.
He is probably one of my favorite guests on Rogan. He is always hilarious.
He's a great guy, man. And I think everybody likes this guy. Jim Cornette, the Jim Cornette Experience. I listen to that.
Love Jim Cornette. Actually, I can't believe I forgot that. I'm not going to lie, I don't listen every week, but I always go back and catch up every couple of weeks because I listen to so much. But I do love Jim Cornette.
Yeah, and there's a podcast called the Hollywood Godfather podcast that is really good as well. It's with the guy Johnny Russo he was in Godfather, actually.
Yeah.
He does a great job, man. He actually has a story about how he was a 16-year-old boy and met Marilyn Monroe and stuff. I ain't gonna go into that, but let's just say he knows Marilyn Monroe very well.
That's awesome. Now there's one called Something to Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard, and it's a wrestling one.
Oh, I've heard that. That is an awesome podcast.
It's good, and I like it because Jim Cornette picks on Bruce Pritchard a lot and really doesn't like him. And Bruce Pritchard does a really good Jim Cornette impersonation, but I don't listen every week. It's something that every month or so I'll go through and find, they'll do one about wrestlers I like. I'm just not big on newer wrestling. So anything 99 and back, I'll kind of go listen to. They do newer stuff. I don't listen as much, but they do a really good podcast. I mean, the guy that does that with Bruce Pritchard, Conrad Thompson, does so many podcasts. He does a podcast with JR, the announcer from WWE.
That's a great podcast.
Yes. He does a podcast with Eric Bischoff. I've listened to it a couple of times. It's a good podcast. So if you're into wrestling, just check those shows out because those shows are really good.
Hawkins Jericho is another good one. Chris Jericho, he does a great job, man.
Chris Jericho is made for podcasting, and the Stone Cold podcast is good. I just had trouble finding a lot of it. It seems like they put the better stuff on the WWE Network, and WWE Network is gone now. You got to have Peacock to have it, and I can't find I've had a hard time finding that podcast because it's mainly a video podcast. Actually, Something to Wrestle did some video. They done one season of a show on WWE Network. The same show, just it was made for WWE Network, and it was really good.
Wow, man, that is that's great, man. I mean, you get that money from the WWE Network, you're doing something right.
Well, I mean, he's now back working for the WWE. Bruce Pritchard is. He got fired.
Wow.
He pulled a gun, I believe, maybe. Like he went off and got fired, but he's really good at what he does. He was there through some of the biggest years of WWE, and he was one of Vince McMahon's right-hand guys. Obviously Pat Patterson and Briscoe were his top guys, but, he was right up there with him and got fired, and now he's back. And the shows, in fairness to him, and it's not a knock on him, it's a lot of why I don't listen every week like I used to. Since he's been back with the company, there's stuff he can't talk about, stuff he can't do. But there was a show on A&E called Dark Side of the Ring. And
I love it.
He was on the first season of that. Bruce Pritchard was on that. And got in some trouble for some stuff he said when he went back to WWE, so he's not been able to he's not been able to be on it since then.
If you have Sling TV, you can actually watch the whole entire series of Dark Side of the Ring.
I just watched a couple episodes the other night. I like that. I'm big on that show.
Yeah. Another show I forgot about that is on the station is called In Dark Places. It's with Junebug. He's been on here at your Bubblegum before.
Yes. Weren't you and him on the show at the same time? Is that right?
Oh, me and Junebug did. No, we wasn't on the here at your Bubblegum.
Oh, was he on your show?
Yeah, Junebug was on my show last
I knew
Sunday.
I seen an interview with you and him together. I just couldn't remember where I seen it at. Like, we listened to so many, like I get them confused. I remember you asking him a question, but I couldn't remember where I seen it at. That seems like a really good podcast. That's one that's been on my list to check out.
Yeah, he's going to be on the station. We're definitely excited about that. He has a legend on a show that actually tells like news stories, Mr. Haunted. Have you heard of him?
No.
He's been on a lot of internet radio stations. That guy is a legend in the cryptid radio world.
That's awesome.
He's going to be on the podcast soon, too. I'm not sure on the date. And we're actually in talks with having him on the station. So if we can get him on the station, this will take the station to a whole nother level.
Well, dude, I think you're doing a lot of good things with that station, and it's something to be proud of. Like, it's not something everybody's doing. I'm not doing it. I mean, there's a lot of people not doing it. It's, that's a big step, and you're definitely a hard worker, and you definitely put a lot of work into it. So I think it's going to really work out for you.
Yeah. I mean, none of us are making money from this.
No, and, but I don't think it's impossible. Like, I know there's podcasts that they don't have famous people on them, but like and I left one out that I listen to every week and never miss, and I highly recommend it. It's kind of related to Kentucky. The three people that do the show are from Kentucky. I think two of them are from Western Kentucky and one of them's from Lexington. It's a married couple and their friend. The married couple moved to Georgia, but their friend still lives in and around Lexington. It's called The 13th Floor. I love that podcast.
What's it about?
It's kind of like, it's almost a mix between Spooky Family and maybe a little bit of Here to Chew Bubblegum. Like, they'll take a topic, like they may take cryptids, or they may take UFOs. They may take, like I suggested a topic the other day they said they were going to do. Like, they may take a lot of, like, they'll take one topic and there's three of them, and all three of them will talk about something different pertaining to that topic. They tell a lot of good facts and a lot of good stories, but it's a really well-made podcast, and it's a really good podcast. I mean, I think that's one of those podcasts that nobody famous on it. They don't have anybody famous come on, but somehow they seem to be really big. And, when you get to that level, like when you start getting, and I think it will happen because of the guests you have, when you start getting the listens on the podcast forums that you're getting on YouTube, like, there's the possibility there for you to make some money. Like, my show's probably always going to be a smaller show just because of the way it's designed.
I do make a little bit of money doing it, which I'm blessed enough to make any money doing it. I appreciate anybody that supports my podcast.
I thought, in all honesty, I think Mountain Mysteries, Here to Chew Bubblegum, Spooky Family, and your show all really stand a good chance of breaking out because of the type of shows they are, the way they're made. I think they stand a chance of, you get really good guests. Chris Sloan, his voice was made to be a broadcaster of some sort.
That's the Q95 voice, man.
Yes, and it's
Q95.
It's such a good show and so well put together. And Goose is a professional, and his show is a professional show. And I always admire the way he puts the show together and the way he does it. I'm not going to lie. I look up to that man immensely on what he knows and what he can do podcast wise. And then you take the Spooky Family. I think it's the one that, like, the most people are, like, it's going to have such a big group of people to pull from, because I think a lot of people are really into that spookier podcast. Like I said, I listened to that Scared to Death, and it's the comedian Dan Cummins. He's not funny at all on that show. He don't tell any jokes. It's him and his wife, and they basically tell urban legends, fan stories that people send in, internet ghost stories, and it's so well done and so well put together. I don't think it matters that Dan's famous. I think if regardless, he would have done good with that show, and I think Spooky Family is going to pull from that same type of audience.
Yeah, what I try to do with my show is not talk about the same topic every day.
Well, I mean, that's important. Like, I've hit times when I'll get stuck in a rut and I'll look back and I'll be like, man, my last 3 episodes have been basically the same thing, and it's easy to get in that, but you have a really good variety. And like I said, you do really good interviews. And I think that's going to be the difference. I don't do great interviews. Don't have a lot of interviews on Talk Junkie. And that's another reason for starting the other show. I can do more interviews on the other show, find people that are into those things, people that are into retro 80s and 90s stuff, and have more people on. And Talk Junkie can still kind of be what it was for me always, just a place where I can talk and get out what I want to get out.
So do you think that your show has the potential to go bigger than Talk Junkie?
If I don't think either one of them, because my production's not great and I'm not a really good host, but if either one of the two were going to do good, I think, like, real big numbers, I do think that Retro Cult would do better numbers than Talk Junkie. And I wish I could do them together, but I can't. When I do the type of stuff I want to do on Talk Junkie that I do on Retro Cult, I get a lot of hate mail. People don't want that. They want serious Justin talking about serious stuff. And the hate mail's fun, but, like, I feel almost obligated. Like, okay, I've got them used to this, and I've given them this for so long. I kind of owe them this.
Yeah. Can I make a response to one of the emails you got that I heard on your last podcast?
Yeah.
To the person that was saying that they don't like our Eastern Kentucky voice or something, I just
Yeah.
want to say I'm proud of my Eastern Kentucky voice, and if you got a problem with it, don't listen to Seth's Daily Podcast, because I'm proud to be from Knott County, Kentucky. I'm proud to be from Eastern Kentucky, and if you're not proud to be from around here, then you're just an idiot.
Well, I mean, it doesn't bother me. Like, it's like I told that guy, like, if I listen to, even if it's a show I listen to every week, if they're talking about something I'm not interested in, or if there's something about the show I don't like, I just don't listen. And then I listen next week. And if it's somebody's voice, I've never had that, but if there was somebody's voice I just couldn't stand, I just wouldn't listen to the show. But it's like a guy sent me an email and said, stop putting your stop reading your emails at the first of the show. Nobody wants to sit through that. It was such and such minutes before we got to the actual video, and that's what I wanted to see. And I was like, okay. So the very next episode I read, and he was like, I'm not going to listen anymore because I'm tired of hearing them. So the very next episode, I read his email, first thing on the show, about not reading emails first. And this guy's never going to listen again. Well, he emails me straight back. So, man, not only did you read it at the first of the show, but you read mine. Don't you want your show to be better? That's my format. If I have emails that week, I don't get a ton of emails anymore. It's easy to read them. If I get emails that week, I read them. I may tomorrow decide I'm not gonna do emails. I don't know.
Speaking of that, do you have any emails?
And I want to do it that way. I have one that I was going to read on my next episode, and I don't care to read it here because it was such a sweet email. And I always read the hate email. I very seldomly read the nice email just because sometimes the hate email is more fun. A lot of guys don't like me, but I did get an email and I'm only going to read part of it because it's not all for me. It's for a lot of different people. I'm going to read you. This is from Tanya. She actually writes into Here to Chew Bubblegum all the time. And she wrote.
Did she say anything about my show?
I don't know who I was on here. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I really didn't read past my part. I will get on that. I'll look at it and see. And if she did, I'll forward it to you. But the part she said, I'll skip the introduction. I'll read it because it's, I'm writing to all of you today to ask some simple questions that may need, I won't read that part. But first to Mr. Justin Perkins, I think you're very intelligent, so we automatically know she's a bad judge of character, but I appreciate it and I will accept it. I also think you've done really good on other shows. I'll leave that part out. No, I can't read that. But I want to say, Tanya, thank you for your email. It's not something I can read technically on air. I thought I could by looking at it, but she was really nice and said really nice things about me. And I don't get many of those. And I'm really, really happy to get it. And I really appreciate it. And, it's nice to hear that good stuff every once in a while. Then I got some more negative ones. But some of those, like, there's this guy wants me to do, he knows somebody that worked on the Ancient Alien show and he wants me, and I don't mention his name on my show anymore. I don't answer his emails on my show anymore. All he does is insult me and then expect me to do what he wants me to do. And that's not going to work. I'm not going to do it. So, like, that's the downside to a podcast. Like, you'll get good and you'll get bad. You just can't let the bad bother you. Like, that guy doesn't bother me. I understand what he wants, but not only the first time he emailed me, not only was I nice about it, but I went and found him a ton of podcasts that talked about exactly what he wanted me to talk about. And I was like, these guys, not only do they do it, but they do it better than I could do it because they have passion about it. Listen to them. So I'm open to criticism. I don't mind it. I'm going to criticize things I don't like. I don't prefer to do it publicly. But there's things I don't like, and I'm not going to like it. And when I don't like it, I just don't listen. And that's all I ask people to do. And, if it is something like, if I've said something that you think is just mean or I shouldn't have said, send me an email and I'll think about it. And I have admitted in the past I shouldn't have said that, but email's a funny thing. But I do, especially when it's just me if I've got guests, I hardly ever do email. I don't know why. I just don't. But if it's just me, because a lot of talk junkies are just me, it's the first thing I do is read the email.
Yeah. And to the lady that said Eastern Kentucky voices are annoying, still listen to Talk Junkie. Just don't listen to Seth's Daily Podcast.
Well, I mean, I don't think she should listen to my podcast. It's obviously not something she likes to hear. So, and I don't think it was a lady. I don't think it was a person that was ever going to listen again. You'll find out that a lot of people will find your podcast or find YouTube videos. YouTube videos are where I get it the most. They'll find YouTube videos and they'll say mean things. And then if you're nice back, they just quit. They're done. They don't want to, and a lot of them will delete their mean comments and just go away. Like, I'm not going to be mean to you. I don't have time to be mean to you. It's not important enough for me to think about it all day or anything like that. It just is what it is, and you got to deal with it and go on.
Yeah. I mean, I've got some comments, especially on the Joe Tedai interview because it has so many views, it basically gets comments at least like once or twice a week. And I read one of the comments last night where somebody was complaining about the audio, and I was like, I've never had somebody complain about it before, but if you have a problem with the audio, then I'm sorry, but I've never heard anybody else complain about it.
Well, I've got a lot of complaints on audio, especially because for a long time with Talk Junkie, when I was working on the road constantly, like between December of last year until I started the project I'm on right now, I was in 7 different states, from Wisconsin to Louisiana to Mississippi, Arkansas, Indiana, Ohio, West Virginia. Like, I was in a lot of different places, and I recorded a lot while I was driving. And, like, I'm sitting next to a window now. People probably heard that car. When I was driving and recording, I got tons of complaint about road noise and stuff like that. And I understand that. Like, it doesn't bother me when I listen to a podcast, so I don't think anything about it. But I do try to fix it. And I don't really record much while I drive anymore because I understand some things. Like, there's some things I could definitely fix. I've got good mics. I don't always use them. I'm using a cheap headset tonight because it's easy and it's hands-free. I don't have my boom stand with me. I can't set my mic up. I don't have my good headphones out. All that stuff's here, but I don't use my mixing board hardly ever since the first couple episodes. I used to have this big, huge rig, and I dumbed it down. And then when you introduced me to Zoom, that completely changed the way I done podcasts. I started doing video. I started recording only with Zoom. Like, it made a big difference. And I don't know. I'm open to it if they tell me they have an issue with the sound or something like, and I will try to fix it, because I want it to sound good. But sometimes there's just nothing you can do, and when there's not, you just kind of got to live with it or listen to something else. I'm not going to get mad if they listen to something else. It's not going to make me angry.
Absolutely. I got a mic on the way, man. I know where people with COVID and stuff, people are like working as much, and I've been waiting on my mic to come for like 3 months, and it still ain't came yet. But hopefully we'll get that soon.
Well, there's so much stuff out there, to do a podcast and this and that. And actually, I'm getting ready to build a home studio. I had one at one point in time, and it's not going to be anything impressive. To be honest with you, the setup that Here Chew Bubblegum has is the setup to have. I don't really know how anybody else records besides me, you, and Paranormal Trucker. Like, I know how he does it, but I really would like to build. I've got room. I've got quite a bit of equipment. I do a lot more video. I'm doing the green screen. I ordered a good camera, got it in. I've got to try it out this week. Like, I want to change up how I do it. The problem is I'm very seldomly home, as you know. So, but if my next project gets me closer to Kentucky, then that won't be an issue. I can do that. But I don't know. There's a lot of options out there for podcasters, but I'm not going to be the one sitting and tell somebody that, hey, you got to have the best of the best starting out, because I don't think you do. No. I think that you just need to do it and do the best show you can do. And my production could be better. My audio could be better. My schedule could definitely be better. But the point is, I do it and I have fun doing it. And there's been times I didn't have fun doing it. And when I did, I quit. You go back and check dates on Talk Junkie episodes. I went months and didn't do an episode. And if I lost a lot of listeners. I'm not even going to lie. I got some back, got some new listeners here at you, Bubblegum and your show and Spooky Family and Paranormal Trucker. Those have all brought in new listeners, people that I don't recognize, emails I don't recognize. But the people that have been listening since the beginning, they're still there. There's a guy out of Louisville named Malik that has listened to me probably since my 4th or 5th episode. And wow. He emails me almost every week. And on all those, he'll put, you don't have to read this on the show, because it's just, hey, how are you doing? How's your kids? How's your wife? How's work going? Like, I've become friends with this guy and have never met him. And I don't know. Podcasting has been a really positive thing for me. So that's why I don't let those negatives kind of interfere. But, if I do get that home studio built, that gives me the opportunity to bring you in and do it in studio, and bring Goose in and do it in studio. And if I can ever track down Bart and bring in the Paranormal Trucker, me and him just can't get he is one of my favorite human beings in the whole world. The minute I met him and talked to him, he is just, I don't know. He is the sweetest dude I've ever met. He's such a kind guy and a good guy, and me and Goose have talked about that numerous times. Meeting those two guys changed me a lot. Me and Goose have become really close, and me and Cronkite, Paranormal Trucker, have become really close. And I don't know. It's a good feeling to get to talk to him, but we have not been able. I've got to do his show. I've done it with you, but I've not got to get him on my show yet.
Yeah. He has a crazy job, man. Definitely a hard schedule.
Yes.
Them are great guys, man. I mean, the Paranormal Trucker, great podcast. One of the Paranormal Truckers, one of the best people out there. Goose is one of the best people out there. And both of them have great shows. I mean, like I said, man, the talent in Eastern Kentucky.
That's true. It's the talent, but it's the people. Like, I message you at least every other day, sometimes every day. I message Goose every other day, sometimes every day. I talk to Elliot a lot. I talk to Paranormal Trucker when I get the chance. He's a busy dude, and he's not a super talkative guy. And I talk to Eli on and off, like, and that's a guy I forget to plug all the time, because he's so, like, it almost feels to me like this dude's made it. This guy, he's got a radio show, he's got the podcast, but I forget a lot of times he's doing a podcast too. He's just doing it differently than I do it, and dude had Alice Cooper on the other day. Didn't he have the guy that played, what's the Michael Myers? Like, he's got a really big show, and I just kind of forget to promote him because he seems so big to me already.
Yeah, he's going to be on Thursday, actually. Definitely, it's definitely a fun time when Eli is on your show. And
I've not got to have him on my show yet either. Actually,
I had him on one time.
We were planning on it today, and we did his show, and Goose was trying to, Goose puts out episodes like that. Dude gets one, edits it, puts it together like he's done it his whole life, and gets it. He was doing that. Eli had some stuff come up. I had to come up and do this one with you. So I was like, all right, we'll get this another time. So I've got to get him in at some point, but I've just not had the opportunity. And he's one of them guys I really want to talk about. Actually, I'm doing an episode for Retro Cult, and I'm going to have him and Goose on because they've both done stand-up comedy. I've done a little bit of stand-up comedy, not to the level probably that they've done it. And then we're going to talk about 80s stand-up and, old school stand-up, and both those guys like it. So they're going to actually be on Retro Cult hopefully pretty soon.
Man, that's going to be a heck of a show. And you was talking about having cameras and stuff. Actually, this Friday, I will actually be doing kind of a vlog, actually, of Tony Sloan's show at Cezanne in Jackson, Kentucky.
That's awesome. Have you guys heard about the new place in Paintsville? I think it's called the Alley on Main.
Yeah, don't they have some big name people there? What is that one guy's name? That comedian they just had. He's a really big name.
Donnie Baker.
Yeah.
Donnie Baker. I don't know if he's done it yet. Has he already done it?
Yeah. He was there this weekend.
Listen, Donnie Baker's hilarious. I met him, got to take my pictures and stuff with him. Me and my wife seen him in Lexington. He's hilarious. They do a lot of music stuff too. My buddy Hoover opened up for a guy up there the other day and said it was a beautiful place. And there's a local band that I love, not just because they're local. They are one of the most unique, best bands I've heard in a long time. I'm a heavy metal guy. They're a mix between everything, heavy metal, hard rock, classic rock. They're called the Technicolor Nightmare. And they're playing there. I believe it's there. They're going to play there, but I believe the show they're playing there is their Halloween show. Halloween night, I believe.
Wow, that's going to be a heck of a time to play, man. It's on Halloween. Tony will be playing at Silver Creek. It's called, I believe, Silver Creek Restaurant in Mount Sterling, Kentucky, October the 29th, starting at 8 p.m. And I think he's supposed to play until 11. He'll also be playing at Summit City in Letcher County.
Summit City is a great venue. We're getting a lot of good. And some to play. You look Summit City, that Alley on Main, the Brick House in Prestonsburg, and then you've got the bigger venues like Mountain Arts Center, and I mean there's a lot of good places for musicians to play. And a lot of these, like Bank 253, I think it's called, in Pikeville.
Yeah,
they're doing a lot of shows here lately, and it's festival season, so you've got a lot of that coming up. So I would have much rather been a musician today than when I was playing back in high school, because we had nowhere to play, especially for the type of music we played. The best you could hope for is if you got to go to Louisville or somewhere like that, because they had a music scene, and now you're starting to see that in Eastern Kentucky, and that's a really cool thing.
Yeah, Tony is doing shows out of this area too, man. That guy's gonna blow up. I promise you. That guy's gonna be signed. It's not if, it's just a matter of time.
That's
definitely
awesome.
will be signed. He actually just did a show in Olive Hill, Kentucky. Have you heard of that place? It's at Henry's Bar and Grill.
Yes, I know where Olive Hill is.
Yeah. Man, he said that was a fun show. He loved playing there. That's another good venue. And the crowd loved him, man. The crowd said he put on a great performance, man. Tony is one of the, if you're looking for a good show, man, you're looking for some great music and a fun time, definitely come to Cezanne Friday night from 6 to 9 in Jackson, Kentucky, because, I mean, it's going to be some great music.
Yeah, good music, good food, and I mean, you can see a local guy play. You can't beat that.
Yeah, that would be another person you can have on the podcast, Tony Sloan. He's done my show about 3 or 4 times, man. He's just a great guy, man.
Definitely. Well, I've sure enjoyed this. I mean, the first time I've ever really done on my show 2 shows at once. I've done it with some other people, but it was fun, and I really enjoyed it. And I really thank you for doing Talk Junkie, and I thank you for letting me do Seth's Daily Podcast, and I thank you for putting this on the radio. You can't beat that. I went out all the way around.
All of us win, man. The listeners, both of us. I mean, just good content for everybody.
All right, man. Anybody wants to get a hold of me, it's talkjunkie@gmail.com. If you want to check out the new show, it's Retro Cult. And the email for it is retrocultpodcast@gmail.com. Also, on the Talk Junkie site and on Here to Chew Bubblegum and on a couple of the radio stations in different places around. You'll hear a little short show. It's nothing big, but it's fun. Something Goose from Here to Chew Bubblegum and I do called Believe It or Not. And it's been really fun. I released the second episode of that on Talk Junkie today, and he released the second episode on Here to Chew Bubblegum today.
Yeah, man, definitely everybody should email you and check out that show. And you can email me at seth.ambergy14@gmail.com. And if you don't know how to spell Ambergy, it's AMBURGEY. That's a difficult name to spell.
I struggle with any spelling of any word, so it's not my strong point.
Yeah, I mean, Ambergy is a very, very unique name. And it's seth.ambergy14@gmail.com. And definitely want to thank you for doing this crossover show, man. And
I had a great time. And don't forget, go see Tony Sloan at, where is it? In
Cezanne in Jackson, Kentucky, Friday
yes.
from 6 to 9 p.m. And you already know it's going to be a great show. Absolutely.
All right, buddy. You have a good one, and thank you so much again.
Absolutely, man. And I want to thank Justin for doing the crossover episode. Y'all have a good night, and God bless.